What's going on, everyone? It's Young Man. Today's October 18th, 2025. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about Metaplanet. I recently made a video talking about Metaplanet, but today I just wanted to go a little bit further into more detail about why I'm bullish on this company and give it some more context than I did in my previous video. I also want to just discuss why I think now is a good time to check these companies out. None of this is financial advice. I just think that it's a good idea to look up the website for Metaplanet, check out the presentation slides that they have. They're very transparent about their long and short-term goals. You can pretty easily just get an idea of what they're trying to do at Metaplanet. So the reason I think now is a great time to become interested in these companies is because Metaplanet has an MNAV that's below 1. If you aren't familiar with these Bitcoin Treasury companies or what MNAV means, MNAV is the multiple of the net asset value, which is a measure of how valuable the market believes these companies are in relation to their Bitcoin holdings. So it's a measure of sentiment. It's just a way to compare what the market is pricing them at and what their Bitcoin balance sheet is actually valued at. So if you have a 1 MNAV, the market is pricing the company equal to the value of the Bitcoin that they hold. If you have a 2 MNAV, the company's being priced at basically double what their Bitcoin holdings are worth. Metaplanet has a 0.9 MNAV right now. So the market is pricing them below what the value of their Bitcoin is. That's why I'm making these videos. That's why I think right now is an interesting time to check them out. And that's why I'm confident that if you enter right now, in a couple years from now, you likely won't regret doing that. Not financial advice. It's my personal opinion. I also think that Metaplanet, being a smaller Bitcoin treasury than Strategy, gives them more room to run. They can compound how large their Bitcoin treasury is at a much faster rate than Strategy can. And I'm also extremely bullish on Strategy. I made a video about Strategy yesterday. I think that Strategy is also a mispriced company and a great investment, not financial advice. But Metaplanet has 30,000 Bitcoin. Strategy has about 650,000 Bitcoin. For Strategy to double how much Bitcoin they have, they would have to accumulate about 500,000 Bitcoin. For Metaplanet to double how big their treasury is, they would have to accumulate 30,000 Bitcoin, which is a much more manageable task. And that's why personally, I'm very interested in Metaplanet right now, because they're going to be able to double and then double again how much Bitcoin they have. And the value of the Bitcoin that they have is going to likely double and then double again. And this isn't very long-term, 20, 30, 40 years out. This is short to medium term that this will be happening in. Another main reason I'm so excited about Metaplanet is that a lot of companies and institutions cannot capitalize on just Bitcoin. A lot of these institutional investors, they need to have securities to capitalize on. They need a company that's going to grow faster than other companies. Bitcoin is what individuals can capitalize on to try to outpace the indexes and other assets. But a lot of investors aren't able to just hold Bitcoin. They need a loophole, and Metaplanet's going to provide that to them. There's a pool of capital in Japan that wants to generate yield. They want to have these quickly growing assets, and Metaplanet's going to give them a way to get that Bitcoin exposure but in a way that they're allowed to do. So a lot of people who think these treasury companies don't have a purpose, they think that Bitcoin itself is going to just, everything goes to zero against Bitcoin is what you hear a lot. I agree with that. I think that that's true in the long term. But these Bitcoin treasury companies are capitalized on Bitcoin. So they're not going to go to zero against Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to eat up the capital around it. But if a company has 1% of the entire Bitcoin supply, its value is just going to grow indefinitely. So Metaplanet is just unique to me because of its situation being based out of Japan. Strategy is going to be the front runner. I'm also extremely excited about Strategy. I'm an investor of Strategy. But these different pools of capital are going to go to different places. Japan is a culture of people who love Japan. They're nationalistic. These Japanese institutions don't want to invest in Strategy. They don't want to just give all their capital to the USA. It's not that they don't like the USA. It's that they live in Japan. They want to support Japan. They have Metaplanet, which is equally as capable company to work alongside, and they're going to do that. So anyone that is just writes off Metaplanet because Strategy is so much bigger and so much further into their development, I don't think that's wise. I think that there's room for second, third, fourth, fifth. That's what I believe. When you look at the Mag 7, there's not only room for NVIDIA. There's room for 7 of them. They do different things. They're all tech companies, but they all have investors that will never leave one for the other completely. That's just how it works. There's a term, the Golden Five is what's been thrown around about Bitcoin treasury companies, the future version of the Mag 7, that there's going to be room for a handful of these treasury companies. I believe Metaplanet is going to solidify a space in that. If that's the way things go, I think Metaplanet will be there. I think the possibility of Metaplanet failing is far lower than the possibility of Metaplanet being one of the biggest companies in the world. Michael Saylor said it himself. He believes Metaplanet will be the biggest hotel company, and he believes Metaplanet will be perhaps the biggest company in Japan. Japanese companies they're not to the same level that a lot of the USA companies are in market cap, but there's very big companies in Japan. Toyota, Sony. There's giants in Japan. And very intelligent people believe Metaplanet will pass them. None of this is financial advice. I just see Metaplanet being mispriced, and I'd like to talk about it. I'd like to share my opinion about it. Less than $3 a share right now. That's what Metaplanet is. Less than $3. Less than this cup of coffee. This cup of coffee was $6. 2 shares of Metaplanet got me this cup of coffee. That's ridiculous.